Hello everybody and welcome back to the Death Row History Channel. I am your host, Mr. Toad. And boy do I have a video for you today. I know it's been a while, but school's been just completely hectic and I wanted to take my time to prepare for this video. We have covered botched executions, an introduction, lethal injection, and the gas chamber. Well, folks, what could be next? What could be next? In fact, I can smell it. I can smell the next method of execution. I can smell the burning flesh. I can smell the smoke. I can smell and hear the agonizing cries. No, folks, I'm not talking about hell. I'm talking about the electric chair. Which in some people's eyes could be the closest thing. But, yes, folks, tonight we will be discussing botched electrocutions. A very shocking topic. So, again, I say, if you have a weak constitution, watch this in segments. Because there are some doozies. It should be noted though, I will not be covering Jesse Tafero, Pedro Medina, and Tiny Davis. They have enough press coverage elsewhere that I don't know. For those that are wondering, all three men were executed by the state of Florida. Mr. Davis was the reason Florida went to lethal injection, and Mr. Tafero was innocent. They found out after he was executed that he didn't commit the crime he was on death row for. Him and his wife both were innocent. Sorry, folks. Coffee in the mustache. But I do have some interesting cases. So, let's strap in and throw the switch as we dive into the electrifying world of botched electrocutions. Okay, folks, the first on the list is October 16th, 1985 in Indiana. A gentleman by the name of William E. Vandiver. He, after the executioner administered 2,300 volts the first time, he was still breathing. Again, folks, William Kimmler. But that seems to be a very common thing with electrocutions, as I've read, is they end up having to put 2 or 3 cycles through a person before they'll consider them dead. But Mr. Vandiver, back to Mr. Vandiver. So after 2,300 volts, he was still breathing. The execution eventually took 17 minutes and 5 jolts of electricity. So hold on here, folks. So, it took 11,500 volts to kill Mr. Vandiver. Well, someone didn't want to die. His attorney, who witnessed the execution and observed smoke and the smell of burning, called the execution outrageous. And the Department of Corrections said that it didn't go according to plan. Well, no shit. But again, folks, human error. Now, let's go down to Alabama. July 14th, 1989 to be exact. And who would be the unfortunate conductor of this experiment? Well, shockingly enough, his name was Horace Franklin Duncan. Horace Franklin Duncan's Jr. Gotta put some respect there, folks. This time, it took 2 jolts of electricity to kill Mr. Duncan. Mr. Duncan's. So, that's 2 jolts, and they don't give the amount of voltage, but I've heard in Alabama it's 2,000. So we're looking at 4,000 volts to kill him. Alright. So, it took 2 jolts, 9 minutes apart. After the first jolt failed to kill the prisoner, who was mildly retarded. Now, why that was in the document, now why that's important, I have no clue. But, mitigating circumstances, I guess. The captain of the prison guard, the captain of the guards, opened the door to the witness room and stated, I believe we got the jacks on wrong. At this point, if I'm a witness for this execution, I'm going to be thinking how incompetent these guards are. But I digress. Moving on, folks. Because the cables had been connected improperly, it was impossible to dispense sufficient current to cause death. The cables were reconnected before a second jolt was administered. Death was pronounced 19 minutes after the first jolt, after the first charge. At a post-execution conference, Alabama Prison Commissioner Morris Thigpen said, I regret very, very much what happened. The cause was human error. Again, folks, I say, well, no shit. And the last one the last one happened on October 17th, 1990, in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. Wilbert Lee Evans would be the recipient there. Evans was hit with the first burst of electricity, and blood spewed from the right side of his mask. For those that watch or know about electrocutions, they put a mask over your face to keep your eyeballs from popping out. That's the reason for it. So, okay. So, the blood vessels in his head burst on the right side. So, his face, on the right side of the mask on his face. So, blood vessels in the face burst. So now, his shirt was drenched with blood, causing a sizzling sound. Blood dripped from his lips. And Evans continued to moan as the second jolt of electricity was applied. The autopsy concluded that Evans had suffered a bloody nose after the voltage surge elevated his high blood pressure. You know, these are things that that one I can see. You know, you get electrocuted, it's kind of like jump-starting your heart. So he already had high blood pressure. His blood pressure shot through the roof, caused his nose to bleed, and it creeped out the and it made the entire room sick. Alright, I can see that. I really can. There was a bunch of them on here that... Alright. Well, I'll give you another one here, folks. And this is again from the great Commonwealth of Virginia. Derek Lynn Peterson, August 22nd, 1991. Much like Mr. Evans, when the first cycle of electricity was applied, and again 4 minutes later, the prison physician, David Barnes, inspected Peterson's neck, checked him with a stethoscope, and announced he was still alive. 7.5 minutes later, after the first attempt to execute the inmate, a second cycle of electricity was applied. Prison officials later announced that in the future, they would routinely administer 2 cycles of electricity before checking the inmate. So, and this right here is a prime example of why I say it's a trial and error. They run the trial and fix the error. Alright, folks. And it's a great... It's interesting. This is not the last video of this series. I have one more planned that I will be recording within the next couple of weeks. Next week or two, probably. Because I already know the video. And it's gonna kick off another couple of videos after that. But my semester is starting to wind down, so I have more free time. I have a couple of projects I have to turn in for class, for a couple of my classes, and I will be good. For one of my classes, I'm actually writing over the death penalty. So, a win for me. But anyway, folks, this is the Death Row History Channel, your number one source for all things Death Row history. And saying, be kind to your neighbors, folks. And treat others like you want to be treated. So, just be decent, people. But this is Mr. Toad saying, I'm gone.